welcome back to Nosetools. Where are we? Well, as the description says, we dealt with the Forgotten Beast, well, first remembered the Forgotten Beast, and have now, but still have a vampire somewhere, on the grounds that vampires only kill people in small quantities, whereas Forgotten Beasts are quite capable of wholesale slaughter, especially when some idiot has gone and allowed them to come back to life. My carefully walling off of coffins seems to have gone quite well, though, in that we have 3 carefully walled off undead creatures who will not cause the fortress any further trouble. It has been suggested. Sorry, something is apparently making sense. Yes, we did discover in the process of trying to dispose of various corpses that the layout I have chosen for my fort, while very good for allowing me to isolate individual rooms to stop unpleasantnesses spreading, is not quite so good for route finding, and tends to be, I think there's some entertaining feature of dwarven route finding where if they're blocked, they attempt to divert to the other side of the blockage and then pick up their original route, even when the diversion has taken them past their destination. So they'll go past their destination, onwards to the other side of the blockage, and then go back, which is kind of fine most of the time, but a bit of a pain when they're carrying an enormous, great corpse.
Even sillier than dragoons.
Yes.
I thought dragoons had a monopoly on daft pathing.
Still, I'm fairly confident that the Forgotten Beast corpse is, at the very least, at the bottom of this pit.
First couple would get halfway up the ramp, and then the ones behind would think, oh, that ramp's blocked. I'd better think of an alternative route to the top.
And let's
of the
go
ramp.
halfway around the map, rather than going, I wonder if I wait 2 turns if some
Let's go
dragoons will
halfway
have
around the
dropped
map.
off
Yet
this
every
way.
other one got up the ramp before I all peel off.
Once they'd committed to going halfway around the map, they'd carry on, and then they'd walk through the enemy who they...
That's helpful.
Right, so, yes, so I think this, given the presence of a wing, is the, the curiously named corpse of the Forgotten Beast, because, of course, the Forgotten Beast got a new name once it was undead, because it became much more scary once it was undead, owing to no longer having a brain we could kick it in. Right, so things I'm trying to organise. I'm trying to organise having a captain of the guard, because at the moment the captain of the guard doesn't yet have a weapons rack, and their office and dining room are not quite at the required standard. I'm hoping that the installation of the furniture will get us closer to the required standard. So let us allow that time to pass. That's just the ordinary repeatedly shooting the creatures there. Oh, and of course we have some traders here. So I think I might want to pay attention to weaponry, because I've noticed that my military dwarves were weirdly equipped in that, like, they all had, or a lot of them had weapons inappropriate to their skills. So I hope that if I... Also, I need to assign another person to the creative entries, because someone has apparently died. So this is the terrifying equipment, the terrifying military thing. So I go that, and then that. Yes, it has. Dwarf Fortress has a semi-intelligent abbreviation system, so it tends to drop vowels first. Hence Fischerdorf.
Yes. No, Fischerdorf. Kitchen fish.
So yes, we're clearly a bit short on steel armour, though. So far, we're actually short on armour in general because people lower down this list don't have armour. So we need about 5 people's worth of armour, more if we can get it in steel. Since we have no iron ore that we've found yet, we're going to be stuck importing either steel or weaponry and armour. So we have axe, mace, axe, pike. That's not very helpful. Mace, flail. Is a flail good for? Is a mace dwarf what you need for flails?
Be, but under most systems it would be.
Flail.
However, better believe it will focus.
Flails use and train the mace dwarf skill.
Did I mention the post I got a few days ago from Nosetools addressed to? So someone I've been trading things with before, he got in what would you want?
So far, the noxious exudations have not been a problem for from this forgotten beast, as far as I know. Not nearly as much of a problem as the slaughtering all of my dwarves, anyway. Well, about 10 of them. Right, so flail, yes, that's the correct thing to have as a mace dwarf. Axe. So then we go. So the bottom half they're equipped with sword, axe. But we really want pike, mace, axe. So we could do, at the very least, if we could get a pike. But I bet it turns out that dwarves can't wield pikes because they're too big. And so the question of how someone managed to become a competent pike dwarf is an interesting one. So actually, most of them. So we need an additional mace for our competent mace dwarf, probably. Everyone else seems to have more or less the right weapons in that one, and we should obviously find someone to stick in that slot, shouldn't we? Captain's guard is kind of needed elsewhere. A woodcutter and a miner we probably want to avoid putting in similarly, yes. We have a competent axe dwarf who's a woodcrafter though, that seems like a good person to bring in if we can't beat competent. Oh, a hammer dwarf, no, he's also a miner. Oh, but we know we've got spare swords, don't we? And like, what the hell is the use of a beekeeper? Right. So then that gives us an extra person. So we could do with slightly more bashing weapons. We might be able to, if we, silver is actually a pretty decent material for maces. We might be able to make one of those locally. Thank you, Gareth. So, like, it's not like we have a shortage of silver ore down here. But we're going to need to make some more charcoal if we're going to use that, but that's fine. So let's make... a lot of blood out there. Let's make some charcoal. Where's the wood furnace? It's down here for reasons. Right. So yeah, that's just a let's make ourselves some silver weaponry. So we may not even need to make many maces. Where's my broker got to? He's currently off getting drunk. Okay. Let's leave that happen for a bit. Wait for the furniture to be installed here, because that will, I think, improve matters a bit. Maybe actually allow us to start engaging in justice. Someone is running around in bizarre directions carrying furniture. Carbon monoxide poisoning is not currently simulated in Dwarf Fortress yet.
Either that or the doors completely new.
Also, I think the ventilation of these underground fortresses seems to happen in a pretty impressive way without much having to be done about it.
Yeah. I mean, like, the dwarves also don't just asphyxiate themselves, and like even miasma clears reasonably quickly underground. So yes, many things are not accurately simulated by Dwarf Fortress. For instance, the dangers of making things out of cinnabar. Right, so what do you have? Do you have any interesting things to sell to me? Because I have so many prepared meals. You've got some iron. Well, we'll take your iron. This iron's nice and cheap. You have not brought any steel. We've got some aluminium, which, because we don't have electrolysis, is very expensive. I mean, it may be worth having some valuable metals merely to encourage the turning of them into really exciting artifacts, though they'll probably end up getting turned into surprisingly dull things. Blocks are not worth having. Did we have some purpose for glass? Is sometimes I think you only get strange moods for glass if you've ever actually produced glass in your fortress, so that's not a serious problem. Let's get some musical instruments, because people occasionally witter about musical instruments.
What's the strong configuration there? Half of these things are busy out.
Right. Okay. Explanation of some of the brackets. So round brackets, I think, mean not created in your fortress. So don't count towards your economy. Towards the GDP of your fortress. The Guillemets represent decoration. So those appear around a thing that is decorated. For instance, if we look at this this gnomes, which I think is a kind of insanely expensive musical instrument, view. It is decorated with kangaroo bone. There are various symbols that indicate the quality of an item. So the lowest quality is no symbol at all. The next one up is hyphens, like this mongoose leather water skin, which has hyphens around it. Next one up is plus, like this pigtail rope. Then asterisk, which we might have some of. Yeah, so that acacia training spear. And then there's sun with rays, which is quite rare, and we don't seem to have any lying around in this thing. The quality symbols can appear either inside or outside or both of the decoration symbols. Outside indicates the quality of the decoration, inside indicates the quality of the underlying item. So that's what some of the bracketing symbols that we can see here mean. Well, all the ones we can see, I think I've just explained. There are others that will turn up elsewhere. So this object is a finely crafted bismuth bronze cap, hence the pluses around the name, with merely well-crafted spikes of sterling silver, so only hyphens around the decoration. And this kind of thing affects its value. So we were short of armour for most of our people.
Giant hamster leather hood.
Yes.
I read that as a leather hood for a giant hamster.
Sadly, it's not. It's a hood made out of the leather of a giant hamster. Right.
I assume it looks ridiculous and has like a hamster head popping in your nose, like a bird.
Jacob's impressed by the honey badger bone rockball. The rockball.
Oh.
Bone musical instrument, I assume. And gosh, yes, who took that off the honey badger? Did they just wait a long way away for the honey badger to die of natural causes and then go, yes, honey badger died?
We've got at least one capable spear dwarf. Let's get a steel spear. That's an expensive steel mace. It's not that good. A steel mail shirt is probably worth having. I should allow for the fact that I have a phenomenal amount of essentially money available, so I shouldn't worry too much about spending money or unmoney about bartering things. So maybe I should just get that expensive steel mace as well. Shields, yeah, really want to make shields of wood. I think a copper shield's probably not bad and cheap. No, not a steel buckler, a copper. Because shields, I don't think their material matters very much, but I could be wrong. And we could just buy a steel shield because we can afford it, but let's see what else we want. We'll want some helms, a steel cap, another steel cap.
Giant one-humped camel leather left mitten.
Giant one-humped camel leather right mitten.
Are these mittens made from camel leather, or
Yes.
they're mittens for a camel?
They are made from they are made from the leather of giant one-humped camels.
And how would it describe the leather left mitten of a giant one-humped camel?
Giant one-humped camels can't wear mittens. They don't have hands.
You haven't got to wear them.
What else are you going to do with them?
Well, are you wearing all of these gauntlets and gloves and mittens and things?
Well, no, I'm buying them for other people, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who's buying
People
them.
there going, oh, please, don't take them off my hands.
Thank you.
Literally.
Yeah, we got that.
Let's at least buy those gauntlets in a pair. Right, so that's a small amount of. So buying steel stuff, I haven't bought nearly enough. Although there's some steel low boots, nearly enough armour to fully equip everyone. So maybe I want to buy some iron armour as well, just to get them more adequately equipped, and then go. I'm going to need more trade goods soon. There were some iron low boots there. Let's buy some iron low boots and some decorated iron low. No, actually, those are no better as armour than those ones, and those ones are cheaper. I'm kind of worrying about shields now. I'll go on. Right, that's probably. Ooh, that one looks quite nice. That's probably a reasonable selection of armour now, and I can probably afford that, can't I? Yeah. We should start worrying about clothing at some point, but I'm pretty confident we can make our own clothes. It'll all be made of silk, but that'll be fine.
As long as it's not too cold.
It's always a constant temperature inside the fortress. I believe. At least if nothing interesting is going on. So, yes, I think underground it is always 10,015 degrees Eurist. Which is, which is essentially Kelvin with a rather large offset. So that's about 15 degrees centigrade. I think. Not sure. Maybe I'm confused. Anyway.
An offset such that the zero is below absolute zero.
Yes. Oh no, sorry. It's yes. They're not. They're actually degrees. Kelvin times 9/5. So they are actually degrees Rankine or Fahrenheit. With yes, an offset such that the lowest possible 0 degrees Eurist is way below any reasonable temperature. Yes, as the wiki says. Also interesting is the fact that temperatures in Dwarf Fortress can go far, far below absolute zero, which is physically impossible. Considering Dwarf Fortress also allows perpetual motion, sometimes it's best not to ask questions. Yes,
If nothing else, there's a risk you might get answers.
I'm fairly confident that time is currently paused in the trading screen. I hope it is. If nothing else, otherwise my trader could leave, and that would be really unfortunate. He might decide to go and get something to drink. So yes, I believe that time is not currently passing. So I don't think there's much else that we're currently short of. Yeah, it's probably worth getting some good crossbow bolts, isn't it? Yes, but we're only making masterpiece bone crossbow bolts, which are probably pretty good against, say, giant snails. At least as long as the giant snails have brains, are probably not quite so effective against things that actually have armour. So I think it may be worth at least having some, though I should probably make sure we don't try to use them too much. So they are expensive things. I have a feeling we may not actually have an anvil in the fort. We should probably get an anvil. And have they brought any cheese with them? Yes, cheese is good. Let's buy all the cheese. Because cheese is great, is a high value food, and so you can stuff it into prepared meals and then sell it back for even more money. So that wasn't quite what I meant. That's going to make a mess. Oh well. I could have done this more efficiently by not accidentally fumbling the down arrow. But with a bit of care I can still use that macro. Right, that's about right. Hello, we will take all your cheese. No.
Including kangaroo cheese.
Yes. How do you get enough milk out of a kangaroo? I have no idea. It's probably rather a complicated procedure.
And you'd be very lucky not to be kicked.
I mean, most of the others are at least reasonably plausible.
Aren't kangaroo cheeks in their pack?
I believe so, yes.
Yes, so you have to put on the milking machine that includes a decoy Joey.
I don't think we've got mechanical stuff yet.
No, I don't think... I don't think Dwarf Fortress has mechanical milking. I think you have to do it by hand.
Yes. I think it's best not to think about how this works, because I'm pretty sure it doesn't.
But you know, this is a world in which people turn up with an entire barrel full of mouse blood. So
Yeah, but
Do we know how big the barrel is?
Or have it
Technically
nice.
not.
I've got a hell of a lot of performances of the one to Ash Kent.
It's true. You do it fresh egg though.
The journey into scraping. It's true. It's a
Season
scroll
5 of Bubble 5.
a scroll about the surgical method of scraping.
Right, thank you. I did not actually mention any of that.
A scroll about animal diseases.
I'm not that keen either. Don't know whether it's useful for dwarves.
A scroll entitled "Can the Dwarf Save the World?" Anyway, we seem to have 2 copies of the Goblin Common Practice. I'm not sure we have any particular use for books, though. At least not yet. Right. Yeah, that seems reasonable. Let's adjust this so they make a reasonable profit. Because I'm generous and I like people to like me. Right. So now there's probably a thing that I want to do, which is to say, hey, Rams of Clasping, or yes, creative hunters, I think should. How does this work then? If I do D on that, does that remove that from the list? No, that said the hunters will not use ammunition. That won't work. Add item. Bolts, yes. I'll change material. Hunters are only allowed to use bone bolts. Rams of Clasping should use bone bolts for training, and I think at the moment for combat. So I can presumably add an item here for bolts more generally, and then say don't use them. Oh, but that probably means that they will carry them around with them, and so I can turn them on later. Actually, can we just say metal bolts, which you should have some of, but not use. Right, let's see if that does anything useful, or at least pay slight attention to when they start shooting things, and hope that they shoot the right things. Shoot the right kind of bolt, not shoot the right kind of target. Oh dear, something's rotting.
Quick, dispose of it properly.
Well, actually no, I don't think that's the thing. It's probably something in the building then. There it is. We're clearly not processing things fast enough. Maybe we've lost our. I mean, yes, this is a slight problem, of course. The people most likely to have got killed by the forgotten beast. Oh, and there's a rotten 2 hunt camel skin actually attacking people. Stop it. I presume it won't last long. If it lasts a significant amount of time, I'll. So that killed it then. Yes, it looks like it could. Where is it? Probably not in the. Admittedly, I could probably look it up in the stock. That one's not actually rotten. Oh, it may have. Ooh, surely it hasn't de-rotted. That's rotting. That's rotting. Yes, I think there may be a slight problem that that those people whose job it would be to to process bits of dead creature are of course the ones most likely to get killed by being in the vicinity of bits of dead creature that stopped being dead. So to be on the safe side, let's pick someone who's can we give you a job, or are you not yet a No, I can't give a visiting elf cook work. So let's pick, say, a useless animal dissector, and say, hey, you. Would you like to learn tanning, just in case we haven't got a tanner? Yeah, there's a reason why Urist is the standard dwarf name, and part of it is because quite a lot of dwarves are called Urist. Where are you going? You've decided that the thing is yours, have you? Some people are lugging some very heavy bones around, it looks like. So at least that's still using dropping things onto the monsters, onto the undead in the pit, and gradually killing them, well, re-killing them. So, how's our captain of the guard feeling? He still wants a weapon rack, right? We have weapon racks available now. So here, have a weapon rack. Right, now there is not an enormous cloud of miasma in the butcher's shop. I think we have a slight problem in the butcher's shop, that a bunch of oh, we're missing a door down there. That a bunch of stuff is stuck in the inaccessible squares of the butcher's workshop itself. It's kind of tempting while things are quiet to demolish it and rebuild it, so that we can extract those weird random body parts from it. Now, of course, we will have a butchery emergency of some sort. Well, then I'd have to dig out a new room to put the new one in. I mean, yes, I could build a temporary built butcher shop just in case we have a dire butchery emergency. But I hope that won't be necessary. Slightly worried. It looks like don't I have a job for make rock pots? Yes, okay, so that, if it's necessary, should be happening. Right, someone is busy demolishing the butcher's shop, and as soon as it's demolished, then we'll rebuild it. Someone is repeatedly picking up items from this distant corner of the world. Oh, right, that's the last one. And hauling them off to their bedroom. Right. Workshop. Oh, there is a slight problem, of course, which is that the butcher shop was also full of bits of animal, which are now all loose, and will all have to be moved out of the way. Oh well. Have fun. Someone is going to spend a lot of time moving each of those little squared symbols. I'm also going to lock that door for now. Right. Oh dear, someone's coming in with a troglodyte corpse. Why are you carrying a troglodyte corpse, and where are you going with it? Is it a troglodyte corpse? Oh no, it's a desert tortoise corpse. Okay, that's allowed. I'm still slightly wondering where you're going with it, but
It's time for the suspicious crackling noises to start.
so that's now built. How is he feeling? Better. Still, the office isn't good enough. Okay. Let us engrave your floor.
More elaborate office or something.
Our captain of the guard wants a more elaborate office. If I don't engrave the walls, then at least I won't accidentally dig through a masterpiece afterwards.
No, it's not. I don't know. Probably speaking of enough, maybe.
So yes, our you can see the dwarf spending a lot of time moving objects out of the butcher's shop, and now it is constructed. And we didn't quite end up with a butchery emergency. Why is there a door lying around there? What's going on? Why was that a sensible place to leave a door? I did actually notice we had a suspended job. Maybe I should unsuspend that and see where the door ends up. Yes, that seems reasonable. Right. I mean, I don't need to see. It was presumably somewhere that we wanted a door. Yeah, more or less. Sorry, I'm watching this dwarf wandering around the fortress. I think he may be trying to butcher something, but has so far made an entire orbit of this floor.
You did arrange to leave the new butcher's shop.
Yes, and has now got back there. And is butchering a tortoise, as is right and proper. Okay, I think we have a slight problem that the job scheduler is scheduling encrusting things with gems that we haven't got in the right places.
I think that person butchering the tortoise was interrupted by the tortoise.
Oh dear, thank you for spotting that. Pause. Yes, all right. Right, happily, even an unarmed dwarf is capable of killing an undead desert tortoise. So it's now re-dead. Okay, no one is currently assigned to that tanner hide job. Let's pick another dwarf and give them tanning as a task. I mean, what's the point of a cheese maker? Also, they're currently not doing anything. Farming. Yeah.
What did the cheese maker? You just go off all the cheese.
Yes. Basically, cheese making is a bit of a hassle, so it's much easier to just buy cheese.
How do you make the cheese backwards?
Thank you. Yes.
Not the cheese makers. Blessed are the cheese makers.
Right, and now that camel is getting what's named. Right, now we have a captain of the guard who is actually happy because someone has engraved the floor with all sorts of things. Okay, that Entilda isn't one of our undead. It's somebody else's undead. Mostly this appears to be stuff that I don't know about because it's happened elsewhere before my game started. Right, anyway, so that might now mean that I can choose justice. And we do indeed have a murder. Only one murder we know about. And I can interrogate absolutely anyone, right? Including what?
Including a stray sow.
Yeah, is this actually the list of people I can interrogate, or the list of subjects I can interrogate them about, or?
You can also only interrogate some zombies in this list.
Well, let's just see what happens if I choose the person at the top of the list. What does that do? A. Right, interview scheduled. Okay. Let's hide those engravings so that they're less obtrusive. So we've now got a stock of charcoal down here. So let's set a repeating galena smelting job. Get ourselves some metal. And I was going to go, what's going on with the things here? We have plenty of cut tanzanite and red spinels. And we do have an encrust furniture with tanzanite job available. Given, yeah, I don't think. I think at the moment, isn't this? Do I have a situation where this thing is fed? No, it's not fed from there. So if it, yeah, I'm just wondering why we're getting no things available messages. Doesn't look like there's a good reason for it. I've only asked you in for an interview. That isn't really in custody, is it? You can see the, though he is being brought vigorously back to the office. So now, okay, no, that wasn't what I meant then. How I've forgotten how I may have to actually read the instructions. I mean, obviously I can attempt to convict someone, but that's hardly going to work. How do I find out what the consequences of interrogating this person were? Is that a report? Aha. Right, that was unhelpful. I may have to remember how all of this stuff works. One moment, please. Let's have a look. Let's look up justice again. Yeah, it doesn't seem to be very helpful. I think it doesn't work like it worked last time I had to deal with it. Oh well, let's continue interrogating people, because I'm pretty sure that that if nothing else, eventually my my captain of the guard will actually turn out to be any good at this. He's probably terrible at the moment. Indeed, has decided he needs to go off and drink. Well, dabbling, organiser, persuader, consoler, pacifier.
And also the PDF writing on Thursday, like Ravens, most of the recent boards haven't had PDFs attached to the talk, which is irritating and I couldn't make it work. I just tried it on here, and it worked fine for the board in the courses, but the board eventually did third. Because I've released on the third now, so fresh matches all the form on there. So I sent a copy. Awesome, thanks. By the way, my loved one's just found the lovely Mind the Gap board. I'm now condensed to 8 sheets together perfectly.
If it doesn't stick together perfectly, there will be a gap. Not a country's drink because impossible.
Well, I think that really means Miner was boozing and got arrested while boozing.
One or two probably out of the pot.
Yes. So let's see how the army equipment is getting on now. Have they reorganised themselves to be reasonably well equipped? So, like, still a bit of a shortage of armour. And I think our mace dwarfers sorted themselves out at least. Oh, we're in one of those situations where everything piled up there is a skull again. Here, make some totems. Oh, and what's going on with everyone's health? Who's currently unwell? Is there still that baby who needs diagnosis but no one seems to want to diagnose? Yes. Might be useful once they become a child and are thus able to understand that they really want to head for the. Yeah, I think our captain of the guard may may need some practice at this. Oh well. There's plenty of time for that. No, still not letting bards in. Oh yes, how are we off bedrooms? We have a reasonable number. Though the creative pumpkin apparently has no spare rooms available to it. But like, maybe I can discourage people from hanging around there if I... Oh yes, I had an idea which might work. I was going to look at standing orders first. You can probably safely dump any other that we find. I wonder what that will do. Will that cause a sudden slew of dump item jobs? It may also be worth marking all of this as... Now, I was wondering if there was any clothing here that we can cause to rot faster by marking this as a refuse stockpile, but I don't think there is. I was considering whether we should start digging out a minecart track for hauling stuff up from the deep mines. We have a one-humped camel man bard. That's nice. Maybe I should let you stay because you're weird. Probably not. Yes, here is the unwell baby. I suspect, presumably your parents have died? You still have a live father, but you're apparently not being cared for by your live father. Okay, we have extra kittens. I'm sure that will be fine. Why are you stressed? I think you're one of my habitually stressed dwarves. You've been shooting things, haven't you? Didn't feel anything after seeing a thing's dead body. All of the things, of course, being the things in my pit. Okay, you want to craft things, don't you? We can make you 18 zombie troglodytes. We can make sure that you have a craft enabled, which traditionally in this fortress is bone crafting. Oh, you already do have a bone crafting enabled. Well, in that case, I don't know that I can do very much with you, really. Yeah, I mean, who are you? Or, oh, it's our friend Ficod Assod, right. Let us briefly profile this to just you so that you at least get to do some crafting. Right, how is your interrogation going? Well, you did better with that one. Okay, our captain of the guard seems to be getting better at interrogation. Sorry, that wasn't what I meant. Despite still only being dabbling at anything. So for some reason the interrogation report will always end up at the bottom, which is kind of unhelpful. So you've interrogated the top 4 people on the list, right? Which are now actually labelled properly. Let's do the next 4 then. I don't know. I'll let them go then. No. You can come here and sing to people briefly, but who's in that? Cage. I think all of our naked mole dogs are trained, so I don't think there's any need for that naked mole dog to be kept in that cage. And I've also remembered how you let people out of cages. Or rather, animals out of cages. We're still just shooting things. This is all perfectly normal. Everything is kind of boring. Presumably all these corpses are where they oh yes, those are of course locked away in there. So we could consider the trick of trying to memorialise more people. And in particular we could, given we have I presume it doesn't work anymore, and I can't quite remember how it worked last time, but if we look at who was injured party Inod Edemtun. Oops, no, that wasn't the right button. If we ask to memorialise Inod Edemtun, right, so Fikod Asod is still grumpy. Felt satisfied at work. He's unfettered after practicing a craft. So, like, we're doing all right. But could really do with some friends, but I'm not sure how we fix that. Now, I don't quite understand why we still get job cancellations for not having the right gems for things. Because those jobs should only be triggered when we have one. We should trigger one job if we have at least one cut gem of the right type, I think. Well, I wonder if large gems end up counting, and we should trade them away so that the trader's still here. They are. Large gems are not particularly useful objects. So let us say here, let's just sell all, or indeed just give our large gems to these nice people. And then see if that stops the gratuitous job cancellations. What of these can we immediately dispose of? Many of them. I think a lot of them probably can be, e.g. tanned with a bit of care. There isn't a tanning job scheduled, so maybe they can't. Even the auto tan is on. If there are any skins around, they are obviously ones that can't be tanned, so we should dispose of them. Yes, in that case, those cases, because they're rotten as well. Mostly this is a big pile of bones. We also have a bunch of gizzard stones which we could probably just encrust onto things before we... Oh right, no, the merchants have buggered off before we managed to get the stuff up to the get those gems into a position to sell them. Thank you. Subject revealed that they made an agreement with the Glove of Courtesies, that's us, becoming a resident of Nosetools, that's here, to eradicate monsters. Well done, thank you. I'm pretty sure we have, historical documents saying that this happened.
Well, significant that they're not contradicting it then.
Yes, I suppose so, kind of. Okay, let's try another trick with regard to those large gems, since there are only 3 of them. Just forbid them. So that's another kind of bracket you can have. Which is twiddly brackets, which indicate this object is forbidden, no one may touch it. So if I mark... What? Okay, there are an awful lot more. Those... Oh yes, mostly those are somebody else's. So let's forbid those 3 gems and see if we still get job cancellations. No, we still... Oh, well, I suppose those might have been scheduled before this, before I forbade the last items. Not satisfied for next check. Not satisfied for next check. Not satisfied for next check. So we should then stop attempting to encrust anything with anything. You might hope. We should also unprofile this because Fikod Assad has done some crafting and is as happy as they're going to be about crafting things. Right. Not bother with the humans then. Yes, I have no idea quite how justice works in this version. One thing I should pay attention to though, because I can remember it being useful, bedrooms are very empty, is spotting someone creeping into other people's bedrooms. That tends to be a behaviour of vampires. Oh yes, and how's that slab coming along? Apparently happened. School. Now I could read it before it's been installed, but let's set someone to installing it. Just seems polite. So yes, we seem now not to be getting job cancellations for... Oh no, there goes another one. What's that? Those ones shouldn't be being... I mean, I assume this is and not or. So we're getting all three of those jobs being cancelled. So let's just try, just in case it's being stupid. That wasn't what I meant. Change material, change number. Let's temporarily remove that condition and see if that causes encrust with green tourmaline to change state. I mean, in the meantime, we should schedule some cut praises, yellow zircons, and white jades. which will get some of those rough gems cut properly. This is certainly not proving any. I'm not getting any informative information here. Possibly part of the problem is that all the witnesses to anything are dead. So what I was going to look at though is, does this say anything interesting? Drained of blood by the dwarf vampire Saxul gift boards. Now, I think that's not wholly helpful. Because I think that's the true name of the vampire. And therefore not the name they're actually going by. Which, since we don't appear to have any Saxuls in the fortress, would appear to match reality. I am kind of suspicious of the rather stressed dwarf who had who worshipped far too many gods. Kind of wondering if that may be of significance. No, we're still getting all three things being cancelled. So I don't quite understand why that's happening. At least we're getting gem cutting jobs being properly scheduled. So yes, not much is going on at the moment. Wondering whether there's anything interesting down here we should dispose of, but like all looking perfectly reasonable really. I could, I suppose, assign some more people to the Marksdwarf squad, in particular take people off. Anyone who's still got hunting enabled, we could turn that off and actually make them a proper Marksdwarf. They're already in the rounds of clasping. So hang on, that was not the correct sequence of button presses. So it's at least anyone who turned up as a hunter is now assigned to the shooting things squad instead. Let's just Fikod Assad again. No, blissful about their bedroom, but I mean, that really doesn't look like a particularly stressful life. I mean, slight miasma problem, but really can't see why you're so stressed. I should also see what is up with other people and whether there's anything else we should fix, but oh, some migrants. We haven't had migrants for a while because we had more than enough people. In the fort was already more or less full. I think I've got a cap at about 100, but some of them died, so we have a small mob of new migrants. All appear to have competency in weapons. Possibly we should start another you brought with you a stray pult. Let's put you, since you have some marked dwarf ability, yeah, join the military. How about you? Now we have a decent number of competent weapon users arriving. Or a fish cleaner, yes. Also an optics engineer, what the hell? I'm sure we shouldn't have the ability to do that. I think we need another squad of oops, melee dwarves. We've got so many people with at least competency in melee weapons. Now oh, the giant tortoise corpse is back. Well, one of them is.
My first game of 2048 for years. First go on state version.
Okay, actually, I think we may have had quite a lot of giant tortoise corpses, and or rather, yes, and the but the merchants dealt with them. There's a fair chance that the merchants will deal with the remaining ones.
Well, I haven't really sold and the same.
There may be a bit of, they may be running out of. I think that merchant may be having trouble there. Let's send him some assistance. What's going on? Let's actually pay attention. There's a foreign mark dwarf who is presumably one of the visitors, and a merchant, and one remaining giant tortoise corpse. And Mace Dwarf has just come under the river and dealt with the problem. Right. Because someone turns up with a steel mace, that's going to deal with the problem quite quickly. Now the poor merchant might be able to leave. Yes. Not badly injured. So yes, the merchants, while trying to leave the map, had an unfortunate encounter with some giant tortoise corpses. Which we're now going to bring into the fortress and butcher. Because I'm sure that will go fine. Okay, what the hell's that? It's just killed someone. Right. Rhinoceros corpses. Giant tortoise corpses, not hugely worrying. Rhinoceros corpses, yeah, those may be a bit of a problem. I mean, someone's just died. Because I can see their body. Sarvesh Sigunet. Alright, probably bled to death after having their lower right leg gored, opening an artery. Is there a job scheduled to do something with that body? Not yet. Do we have a spare coffin? Yes, we should start building a wall around it though. Maybe I should actually do something about these rhinocerodes as well. It looks like the dwarves may be being reasonably sane and not actually heading out that way too much. Oh no, no. Yes, right. Run away, run away. That's not a way. Right, I think we need to actually put the fort... well, we have two choices here, really. We put the fort into lockdown and try to thus keep everyone indoors, or we send the military after these rhinoceroses and hope for the best. I mean, it would demonstrate whether our military is any good. Go on. Station yourselves at the entrance. Let's see what happens. There's still too many people coming out here, though. I think we also need a quick I mean, this is not a very helpful burrow, and I could adjust it, but I think actually we would not do badly to simply say temporarily everyone get off the surface. Yeah, it's not a good organisation of things, but no, they've slaughtered another dwarf. Right, we've got... Well, everyone is now coming inside. I think that was the right thing to do. Perhaps you could put down that giant tortoise corpse. You could run faster like that. Right, the military are getting themselves up onto the surface. So the question is... Yeah, thank you. Looks like the rhinoceroses are quite short-sighted in that they can't see this dwarf lugging stuff in. So maybe we should try picking off... Oh, I think they spotted something. Maybe not. So where are the other half of that squad then? There should be 8 of them, 10 of them. They don't seem to have reached the surface yet. I don't really want to send only 5 of the squad in if we can possibly avoid it. Here comes one more. And another. Right, they've decided to go after something anyway, so let us actually make that their order to make sure they all get involved. Looking like a good start. rhinoceroses have spotted them, so I'm not too hopeful. I think there may be rather a lot of like flesh on this rhinoceros. Yeah, that's not going well. Well, we'll see how it goes, and if we have no military at the end of this, we have no military. To be on the safe side, let's temporarily lock all the doors to the surface. Everyone is inside anyway, and we'll just see how it goes. What dwarven baby? Okay, the dwarven baby is long since dead, right. So who are we currently fighting? Oh right, no, you lot should still be like attacking anything that you can attack. So that indicates you successfully killed something though. So I think you should next take on that one that's fallen over already. That's not going well there, is it? Oh well, let's just allow time to pass a bit longer. Given that the front door is closed, it's now safe for us to let people out. Yes, there is a lot of I mean, hacking bits off them is good, it slows them down. Slapping them with the flat of your axe, not so useful. Which one should they kill next? Probably the nearest.
So this was populating the outside with heavy military trained zombies, etc.
Yes. I don't think actually the training survives, but I could be wrong. Alright, that's the one they're officially trying to kill. I think we're now down to like one live dwarf out, one usefully live dwarf out there. There are a few others, but I think they're locked indoors. And I could let them out, but I'm pretty confident that this is just going to go badly for everyone involved. Right. Memo to self. Rhinoceros corpses can be killed, but you're going to need to have a pretty serious oversupply of people, dwarves. Sadly, someone has just slaughtered all your military. Here's a visiting poet. If they're lucky, they're far enough away from the rhinoceroses that they won't be seen. Well, that was why one of our military wasn't out there being useful. To be on the safe side, let's also pull the lever to close the gate. So how are we off from metal now? Because I think we're getting a decent amount of silver now. We might want to start making more weapons, though admittedly a shortage of armour is going to be a bit of a problem. Because of course all our good armour is up on the surface. So let's see, we've got... Let's have a look at how these people died. All in... Actually, basically anyone who's been in a fight recently is probably dead. So I think we don't have a serious problem if their head has been exploded into gore. I observed that the miner lost consciousness when their head was exploded into gore. Don't think I really need to worry about babies either. So I think, I'm going to quickly look this up, I think that actually only one of those is liable to come back to life. So I'm just going to look at that. Okay, no, if as long as the remains of a creature contain a body part capable of grasping, be it a hand or a head, or the entire upper half, those remains can be animated. So I think, sorry, just having a quick look through other things. So yes, I think those so I think hang on. Yes, so I think that their abilities have probably been lost, and certainly their weaponry has been lost, and armour. So I think they're not. The undead dwarves are nowhere near as dangerous as the undead rhinoceroses. Indeed, here is an undead dwarf, Sarvesh Sigunet, who was, I think, one of our Are they one of the ones who died earlier? Yes. One of the first deaths was Sarvesh Sigunet, who looks like they may merely have bled to death rather than actually losing any seriously important body parts. But nonetheless, are busy killing a poet. There seems to be an extremely fast-moving kitten here. But they're not actually coming to help because they're a kitten. The poet is now passed out through pain, probably. Passed out through exhaustion, and is thus being repeatedly punched in the head. And this will probably kill the poor human poet eventually. All the red things mean, like, seriously injured. Right, I think the human poet has finally succumbed. Yes. So we will shortly have an undead poet kicking it around upstairs. Thank you, Gareth. So, yes. We definitely have a bit of a problem up there. I mean, we could assign these coffins for people to be buried in, but, like, I think we may have to accept that burying people is just overly optimistic at this stage. So, yes, well, we should probably at least stick some people into the military, even if we can't actually sort out adequate weaponry yet. And we should set up some actual places to forge weapons, because otherwise we're not going to have any weapons. We need more. We almost certainly need more maces. been being an idiot? Probably not. Really want mace dwarfs if you've got them. Hammer dwarfs not bad though. See if we have any more mace dwarfs so we can make this. Right, no. So possibly putting in more hammer dwarfs would be good. Don't really want miners, it causes weird problems with equipment, I believe. So slightly biased things in favour of blunt weaponry. So, like, when we're going to feel safe going out on the surface again, I don't know. Yes, what's happened to those walls? They somehow got suspended. Well, let's at least finish constructing them. Yes, lots of people are going to have been missing for a while. We're not going to let anyone out on the surface anytime soon. Of course, the surface is scary. Oh yes, you're going to want... Well, actually, no, sorry. I think we're going to take the approach of... You get dumped in a pit, and we ask to kid on our and we carve a memorial to you. Okay, how have those been found dead? There's someone out there. Like, if there is, they ain't going to last long. Can't see any of my people in that area. Alright, I think the visiting human bard has spotted the various dead people and has somehow communicated their deadness to me, and is probably having an entertaining time out there, but is at least surveying all of the dead so that we can make sure we can memorialise them properly. That's a lot of dead people. Okay, that's only gonna... We're going to need to make some more slabs. Dear, I'm worried about that baby. Is no one going to provide it with some water? Also, what's going on with the rock pot construction job then? So why would we not... what's going on with pots? Do we have a bunch of unforbidden pots we can't currently get at or something? Oh gods, where are they filed? Not under R for rock, not under P for pots. Even not under F for food storage containers. Are they filed under something bizarre like barrels? No. We have almost no barrels. Or something really bizarre like finished goods? No, because that's not even in here. Pot, 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 pot. Okay, I'd love to work out why we're short of rock pots, but I can't even find out whether we have any. Start at the top. Ammunition, amulets, animal traps, anvils, armour stands, backpacks, ballista arrowheads, ballista parts, barrels, which does not count, bars, beds, bins, which we have none of, blocks, body parts, boxes and bags, no, bracelets, branches, buckets, cabinets, cages, catapult parts, chains, cheese, cloth, codices, coffins, coins, corpses, crowns. We've got surprisingly many crowns. Crutches, cut gems, doors, drinks, which don't count the things they're in, earrings, eggs, figurines, fish flasks, floodgates, footwear, goblets, grates, handwear, hatch covers, headwear, large gems, leaves, legwear, limb and body casts, liquids. I wonder what those do. Why do we have water around? Anyway, I suppose the buckets might have water in, I suppose, yes. Logs, meat, no. Mechanisms, millstones, musical instruments, pipe sections, plants, powders, prepared meals, querns, quivers, raw fish remains, rings, rough gems, sceptres, seeds, sheets, shields, siege ammo, slabs, Small live animals, small rocks, small tame animals, splints, statues, stones, tables, tanned hides, threads, thrones, tools. Tools! They're filed under tools. So is it that it doesn't treat doesn't pay attention to whether the pots are empty or not? Because that would be kind of unhelpful. We do have food storage items as a separate thing twice. I think those are, we haven't actually written the nice term for this. But that still doesn't do it. Maybe I only want one of those selected. No. And I think actually it probably but no, we don't seem to be able to say empty food storage items. May make that a rather unhelpful job. Oh well. Let's just schedule some by hand. In between engraving memorials to everyone on the surface. So yes, Saxel Gift Boards is continuing to drain people of blood, and I'm still not quite sure how to track them down. I think the ill baby has been provided with water by someone at least. Because despite her injuries, which are probably never going to be fully recoverable, she is not thirsty anymore. So I suspect she will live. Yes, it looks like bards keep turning up on the surface and getting slaughtered by whatever else is up there. There we have an undead human who was presumably once a bard. Hint. Visiting a fort that's surrounded with undead rhinoceroses. Probably a good idea if you come heavily armed and preferably with a lot of friends. Struck down by the zombie rhinoceros brother paints in the year 160.
What?
Brother paints is the name of the rhinoceros
Oh, okay, right.
in English. It will have a different name in Dwarvish.
What is the new rhinoceros?
We don't know. We can't talk to the rhinoceroses. Six-sided, long, six-sided prisms. All right, that was the baby who only lasted a year, but nonetheless managed to have really strong opinions about what they liked, and it should be giant groundhog leather. So yes, we need to make more memorials, I fear. I prefer not to memorialise people who are merely listed as missing, but I think I may have accidentally done so. So, of the recent deaths, Urvad, Idenarith, Main Thobarak, do we know what's happened to them? No. That's a really awkward direction to try to sort it out in, isn't it? What I should do is say, who is listed as has been found dead recently? So, Urvad Idenarith. Which direction does time go in? I don't really care. Moses Ishembim. Udim Odomlockum. Where are they? Maybe you're not local. Yeah, that wasn't how that was meant to work. Urdim not Golvabok, yes. Oh, there they are. Urdim Otamlòr. They already have a slab, it's just being installed. Urdim are the other Urdim, and Thob Aranlorbam. So we know how all of those died, so it's worth carving memorials to all of them. I need more memorials to install yet. Whilst we're temporarily being distracted by making a few more rock pots so that we can brew some more drink. Actually, let's prioritise the memorials over most of the rock pots. Dear, there's an undead Drouther corpse. Well, undead Drouther is probably killable. Actually, is there actually an undead Drouther out there? That C isn't a Drouther. Oh, there it is, yes. So, my new things of clasping. That's quite a lot of dead. Okay, maybe an undead Drouther is a problem in its own right. Cause that looks like I'm going to just check that we have some halfway decent armour on these on that squad before I decide what I'm going to do. Only half of them have armour, some of them don't even have weapons. I'm kind of inclined to lock the doors to that room for now. And hope they don't have blasters. Let's not allow the situation to get any worse. Though this does have a bit of a problem, which is that we depend at the moment on this pressure plate to open the trapdoor into the rubbish pit. So I think that means that I need to engage in some slightly brave opening up of the side of the pit. I mean, above the trapdoor, so it's not particularly dangerous. And building another pressure plate at one of the other doors, and then unlocking that door. I think that's the right configuration of pressure plate. I'm slightly sad that that might mean that those dwarves in there don't get properly memorialised, and we need to fix that. To be on the safe side, since they may turn into ghosts, let's also wall in all of those doors for now. Is after all why I made the walls so thick. Okay, that one's not currently accessible because that door is locked, which is perfectly safe to unlock. Well, fairly safe to unlock. I mean, I think essentially I had it locked in order to cause people to go through the correct door, but meanwhile we are going to need a new butcher's shop. And oh, damn. What, there are 2 unengraved slabs there, aren't there? Oh no, I'm just an idiot, right. So Thob Aaron Lorban has not yet been memorialised. Right, we already have ghosts kicking around. Excellent. I'm sure that will be fine. Still, that's why I'm walling in that undead Draltha. so that any ghosts can't. Oh, that's a weird annotation. Oh, sorry. I wonder if X male X means gelded male, namely, well, if you're a right hand, you kind of, if you're only a right hand, you kind of are. Anyway, that has now been built, so now we can add task, link up a hatch, link up that hatch, a couple of mechanisms. I was wondering if the baby might have managed to get diagnosed by virtue of being in the hospital, but no. So we now have an unengraved slab lying around there. Is that the second unengraved slab? Yes. So Ast Kedonul. We've already done Ast Kedonul, haven't we? Let's check. Yes. So Sarvesh Sigunet, I think we have actually engraved something for. Vukar. Oh no, but we want ones who are actually dead, because yeah, Vukar Erebekar we've definitely done. Iton Robust Dinthad Fed. Is already memorialised. Uristemus. Needs to be memorialised. We have some very fast engravers. And Shorast Gatis Geshud. So that should at least ensure that everyone whose manner of death we actually know about is memorialised. or at least has a slab carved. Actual planting of memorials will come shortly afterwards. Yes, I'm not quite sure what to do about those who have gone missing. I mean, you can memorialise those who are merely missing. You do get a rather boring memorial stone as a result. Right, so has that been hooked up yet? Yes, which means that we can reinstate that wall there. Be on the safe side. Oh, and I haven't actually built the wall that I want to put in there for safety. Because ghosts can open doors even if they're locked. And, like, there's a danger we're going to get ghosts. I think it should now be possible to dump items in the rubbish pit and they should probably end up in the right place without any serious embarrassment occurring. So now we still need a butcher's shop, of course. What's the rhino situation at the moment? Plenty of dead rhinoceroses wandering around upstairs, right. So we need a new butcher's shop. Where should I put that? It wants to be fairly close to the rubbish dump. I don't think it should be that room there. I think I'll put it on the far side of the various tombs over here, which means we should probably also install a suitable stockpile for things what want butchering. And it wants to have essentially the same settings as this one here, which is refuse, all kinds of corpses and body parts. It's more or less right. There we go. So what do some of these slabs say then? So yes, we have an unfortunate went missing, which will, I think, stop him rising as a ghost, but I would much prefer things to say struck down by the zombie rhinoceros. Oh dear, the slayer of the forgotten beast Thol has been struck down by a zombie rhinoceros. So many poets turning up on the surface. I wonder where that kitten is then. Anyway, no weird ghosts kicking around there at least, looks like. No, good. Right, well, I think things are now reasonably stable. I'm not like... Oh, actually, I want to finish building those last couple of memorials, don't I? Because that would just be embarrassing if... there are people we've made memorials to whose memorials aren't actually installed. But once that's done, I think that will be a sensible point to stop, because everything's reasonably stable again. Well, when I say reasonably stable, I mean the surface is full of zombie rhinoceroses and zombie poets. We've had to isolate the room with the butcher's shop in because because it's full of zombie Draltha and probably 2 zombie dwarves in the near future, though they haven't come back to life yet. And there's a distinct possibility of a ghost problem in the near future. And idiots keep visiting. Sorry. Idiots keep visiting, arrive, and immediately become overwhelmed by horror because, well... it seems a kind of reasonable response, really. At least until we've got rid of the rhinoceroses. I think it might be simpler, Dwarf Fortress, if you just described those bits that were still present. I think this is mostly a skeleton now, but I'm not sure. Now, the only locals you're going to be chatting with are zombie rhinoceroses, I can assure you. So I think I'm just waiting for that one slab to be constructed. Right, there it is. More kittens. We may have to stop doing something about the kittens. Oh, right, yes, that's one of the people who was struck down by the zombie Draltha, who was found dead. The other one, of course, is merely missing, so that may be a problem later. I am pondering the possibilities of flooding rooms with magma in order to deal with the zombie problem, but the thing is, if you do that, you then just have a magma problem. I mean, that would at least be a fairly serious project. Finding some magma, arranging to pump it up high enough that we could fill rooms with it. arranging to fill the rooms with it without actually letting anything in them out. Ooh. No. Wondering if we can do some kind of cave-in trick. We could do a lot better if we had safe access to the surface. I mean, I think we could actually deal with a lot of our zombie problems if we had safe access to the surface again. Or we could deal with some of our zombie problems if we had safe access to the surface again. But I'm not sure there's much we can do about that right now because rhinoceroses. Right, well, that will probably be enough for tonight. Oh look, visiting human has managed to get not into a fight with a zombie in a zombie rhinoceros at least. He's merely in a fight with a zombie dwarf, but like has not thought to bring any weapons. And is thus probably not going to survive the experience. Oh, are there people hunting in the... But I think that's safe actually. The caverns are connected to the fortress at the moment, but not to the surface. I think. Yes. Let's just check that trick works. Okay, I can ask to build things up here, but I can only try to build them out of logs and not blocks. Whereas if I go down to the caverns, and try to build a wall, we can build them out of blocks. So the caverns are connected to the fortress, even though the what are you doing down there? Oh, you're finding something to wield. Thank you. The hillocks of Ivory Balties has been founded nearly a day's travel to the southeast and looks to your thriving economy. Well, yes, we have a thriving economy, but I recommend you don't try to visit for its future prosperity. Well, that seems like a good place to stop. Right. Good night, anyone who is still there. Please, well, like and subscribe if that's the kind of thing you do.